one of our absolute best ever when it comes to Ross Tucker from the Ross Tucker podcast and more. And by the way, we're about to help you make Mother's Day more special than ever before. Ross with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke. Thank you, sir. Are you glad the draft is over? And do you take a deep breath and take a shower when it is over? How do you respond to when it's done?
Well, always mixed emotions because I love the draft. Anybody that loves college football, and I call games for CBS on TV, as well as the NFL, and I call games for CBS on the TV side too, one of the rare guys that does both. And the draft is like college football and the NFL having a baby. And it's awesome. I love it. And kind of like a baby, you don't really know what you're going to get. And it's different every time. And that's exactly what the draft is like. So I always am, on one level, I like this week because it's fun to talk about what all the teams did. But then you don't really have anything to look forward to until training camp or the preseason games. Whereas at least in February, March, and most of April, you have the draft to kind of look forward to from a football standpoint.
So, Ross, what did you like? Who jumped out at you as teams that really addressed their needs and helped themselves along the way?
That's a tough question. It's funny because I was just on actually with the San Antonio guys. And they're not happy that the Cowboys didn't take a quarterback, a wide receiver hire or a running back hire. And what I said was, listen, if you take guys at positions just because you want someone at that position, guess what? If they end up being bad, then it's a double whammy, right? You didn't get a good player and you still don't have what people want you to have at receiver or running back or any of these other positions. I typically like teams, to be honest with you, that trade down and stockpile picks. I thought what the Browns did was pretty smart to go from 2 to 5, get the best D tackle to pair with Myles Garrett and that D line in Cleveland and get next year's first round pick from the Jaguars and then some. That might be a top 10 pick again. Because I think the Browns realized they need a quarterback, even though they drafted 2. Love what the Rams did. I can't believe the Falcons traded up and traded next year's first-round pick to get James Pierce. Next year's first-round pick for James Pierce. That was a little bit of a stunner for me. I thought what the Texans did, trading down a couple times. They reinforced the offensive line. They got both those Iowa State receivers who I thought were really good. Mm-hmm. And they got the Giants first-round pick next year. To me, that's doing work. If you are some of those teams that traded down, I tend to agree with them.
Ross, obviously a lot of talk about the quarterback position, no matter what. In particular, one prospect that slid. But from Cam Ward going number 1 to Quinn Ewers sliding all the way to the 7th round to the Browns double dipping with Gabriel and Sanders in the middle, and all points in between. What kind of jumped out to you in terms of the quarterback storylines leaving this draft?
Well, I think certainly Sanders is the biggest storyline, and we could talk about that quite a bit. There's no question that was by far the biggest topic, which, by the way, is part of the reason why he fell, right? The 3 teams that drafted guys to start, Cam Ward with the Titans, nobody had a problem with that. Jackson Dart with the Giants, listen, I had a couple people come on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast and say that they thought Cam Ward was, that Jackson Dart was better than Shedeur Sanders. So I can live with that. I even had Greg Cosell And people I respect say, listen, if you just watched the video and didn't know these guys, you would say that Tyler Shuck is the second best quarterback in the draft. Now he's 26 and all the injuries. We get all that, but just by the video, right? So I can live with those three guys being drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders. And those guys all were the three teams that got a guy that's kind of in a position to start, let's call it, right? After that, you're really drafting a guy to be a backup, and nobody wants a lightning rod, polarizing player like Shedeur Sanders to be their backup. Nobody wants the main story every day to be about the backup quarterback. We saw that with Kaepernick. We saw that with Tim Tebow. There's a reason why those guys, had a tougher time. People didn't want everything that came along with those guys. And right or wrong, a lot comes along with Shedeur Sanders. I will say, to see like Tyler Shuck get drafted ahead of Dylan Gabriel and Quinn Ewers and Shedeur Sanders. I mean, can you imagine saying that like in October or November during the college football season? Yeah, that Louisville guy is going to get drafted ahead of Dylan Gabriel and especially Shedeur Sanders and these guys. And Quinn Ewers, 7th round. I mean, the amount of money that he left on the table is mind-boggling. Evidently, that wasn't, his primary motivation, but yikes.
Ross, Philadelphia just won the world championship. Paul, am I right about that? Mm-hmm. And we were discussing, it seems like they make sense. Yeah, Pittsburgh used to do that every year during the draft, or Baltimore Ravens do that, it seemed like, every year. Philadelphia now seems to be that franchise that just lets the draft come to it. Not that they've been perfect, but do you agree with that?
Well, you guys know I do their preseason games
yep.
on TV, and I do a lot of work for the team. So I'm around them. They're just a really impressive organization. Really impressive. In fact, I think that's why the Browns traded up in front of them to draft Shedeur Sanders. I think the Browns probably thought, you know what? The Eagles will take Shedeur Sanders here because it's value. Because no one's going to say that Shedeur Sanders should be starting over Jalen Hurts, the Super Bowl MVP. So the Eagles would get a second-round value in the 5th round. And, they wouldn't have all the noise that comes along with Shedeur Sanders because they would have taken him later on in the draft. And that would have, calmed a lot of the things down. You're exactly right. Last year, for them to get Quinyon Mitchell, I mean, he was a top 20 corner in the league as a rookie. And he went, 22 or 24 overall to the Eagles. This year, I had multiple people come on the Ross Tucker podcast and say that Jahad Campbell, they thought was a top 5, top 10 player. Now, I don't know about his knee and his shoulder and these injuries that people are talking about. Obviously, the Eagles felt comfortable with it. I know this. That guy can flat out play, and they were able to get him at a good spot. I like the Makuba pick. I thought the team for the Eagles was to get versatility. Campbell can play off the ball and help rush off the edge. Makuba can play nickel and play at safety too. Like the Eagles kind of have starters almost everywhere. Now they got guys that can plug a hole if multiple positions have a guy go down.
Ross, the Pittsburgh Steelers used to be the team that you could rely on to make very solid draft decisions. Now, this is where the quarterback thing, like the rubber kind of hits the road. They are relying on the fact that Aaron Rodgers has possibly told them he's probably going to play for them. That to me is a risk I don't know if I want to take. So are they staring down the barrel of like getting raked over the coals for trading for Kirk Cousins or having a roll with Mason Rudolph or something this year if Aaron Rodgers decides, man, these mushrooms are really hitting right now?
I think Aaron's going to sign with them. Okay. I would be very, very surprised at this point if he doesn't, because if they didn't have 99% confidence that he was going to, I think that they would have drafted a quarterback. In fact, I'll take it a step further. Like, I don't have any evidence of this. This is rampant speculation, but I would tell you right now that I am extremely I believe that Aaron Rodgers told the Steelers, hey, don't draft Shedeur Sanders. Or maybe the Steelers just knew he doesn't want to deal with that. He's 40-something years old. You think he wants to go to Pittsburgh and first time he plays bad, people are saying put the first-round pick in, Shedeur Sanders, or for that matter, even put the third-round pick in, Shedeur Sanders. Don't think that he wanted to deal with that at all, and he either told the Steelers that or they just intuitively knew that would not be a smart decision.
Ross, if you're in a war room and you were a part of the feedback or you were a part of the decision being made, and a lot of different franchises maybe make that thing even more of it than it is, what would be most important? Talent, attitude, motor? Well, I mean, like, how would you put that in perspective? Because we've seen teams draft people with bad backgrounds before because they could help them win games.
Well, I think you always have to start with talent, right? I mean, I think talent is the first thing you're looking for. You're looking for guys that are difference-making football players, right? I think the other things that you mentioned are more like tiebreakers, right? Between guys that have talent. They look really hard for guys that love football, and I would put a premium on that as well, because I go back to you guys see the helmets behind me, all the teams I played for, and I don't really remember anybody that was really good in the NFL that didn't just love it. And I don't mean love it. I mean like love the process. Like you can't love football. You need to love the process of getting better and getting ready to play and getting ready for the game. Everybody loves when you're out there in front of 80,000 people and you're running around hitting people. That everybody loves that part. There's too many guys that don't love the other stuff.
Ross, Travis Hunter, the Jags traded up to get him. I know you said you like trade backs, but this one for a franchise that needs a little bit of, something to get those people excited, something to say like, oh, look, they're giving Trevor Lawrence something else. I really liked what James Gladstone did and trying to like push a little bit with the Jaguars, because they've got Trevor Lawrence in this big contract. They've got to make this work soon or everybody's getting fired.
Well, Travis Hunter's the best college football player I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I did Colorado State last year. I don't think people realize how insane it is that he was playing 140 snaps a game and how impressive and hard it is for him to play both sides of the ball like that. It sounds like – so I thought he was the best player in the draft. And so for the Jags, if they're going to really give him a chance on both sides – and he shows he can make a big impact on both sides, then I still think they gave up a lot for that, but that's a chance that they're willing to take.
Mother's Day, not this weekend, but next. And you have myfrontpage.com. And, of course, we've had you on many, many times. Please let everyone know if they're looking at maybe something unique, how they can make this upcoming Mother's Day the best ever.
Well, it's myfrontpagestory.com.
Right.
And you guys will appreciate this with the writing background. It's by far the best Mother's Day gift I've ever heard of. You talk to a writer for 10 minutes while you're driving home from work, or maybe you can even just go ahead and fill out an email about your mom or about your wife. They write this incredible story. Looks like it's on the cover of the newspaper. It's framed. It's beautiful. In fact, while I'm talking with you guys, here's what it looks like. It's incredible. Just picture your grandma or your mom or your wife getting a gift like this. They open it up. They see themselves and the kids on the cover of a newspaper. Then they read the quotes from you and the kids talking about how amazing they are. They will cry. I would be surprised if they don't cry. Tears of joy. It's myfrontpagestory.com. My front page story. Listen, we're talking about the draft. Moms are everybody's number one pick. Okay. Yep. Moms are incredible. Nobody has a mom that's a bust. If you do, that's actually really sad. That's a whole other topic. But everybody has incredible moms. Give them the truly special gift they deserve. Myfrontpagestory.com. Myfrontpagestory.com.
By the way, I just went to the website and a box popped up, save 20% instantly, and they'll send you a coupon code to maybe even get a better deal on their website. How about that?
That's the way to do it.
Yep.
Go right now, myfrontpagestory.com.
Thank you, Ross. Appreciate the knowledge. Ross Tucker with us. Thank you very much on the NFL draft and much more.